Anna, a quiet 24-year-old with deep, thoughtful eyes, sat alone in a stark white waiting room, the hum of fluorescent lights overhead making her feel even smaller. Every shuffle of papers, every soft cough from another patient made her flinch slightly. Her hands gripped her bag tightly against her chest, as if it were the only thing anchoring her. It wasn't just nerves, it was fear, vulnerability, and years of silence wrapped into one moment. This was her first time visiting a gynecologist. Even scheduling the appointment had been an act of courage she didn't know she had. She glanced around, avoiding eye contact, her mind racing with thoughts she couldn't quiet. What if they judged her? What if something was wrong? What if they asked questions she wasn't ready to answer? Her heart beat like a drum, faster with every passing minute. The medical posters on the walls, the cold smell of antiseptic, the distant ring of a phone, everything felt too loud, too close. Anna wasn't just shy. She had grown up in a home where bodies weren't talked about, where shame clung to everything intimate. The idea of opening up to a stranger, about the most personal parts of herself, felt like standing naked in a storm. And yet, here she was. Sitting. Waiting. Breathing. Her name sat silently on a clipboard behind the front desk, but to her, it might as well have been carved into stone, proof that she had finally chosen herself. Just being in that room was a triumph. She didn't feel brave yet. But in that small, quiet act of showing up, Anna had already begun to reclaim something she didn't know she had lost, the right to be seen, to be heard, and maybe, to heal. When the nurse finally called her name, Anna's breath caught. Her legs felt heavy, like they might betray her, but she stood up anyway, clutching her bag tighter than ever. Each step down the hallway felt longer than the last. Her heart thudded in her chest, loud, shaky, uncertain. She entered the room slowly, bracing herself for the discomfort, for the unfamiliar questions, for the cold detachment she'd imagined. But then, everything shifted. Behind the desk sat a woman, calm, graceful, perhaps in her 60s, with soft silver hair, gentle eyes, and a wheelchair. Anna blinked. Not out of judgment, but surprise. She hadn't expected this. The doctor rolled forward slightly, offering a kind smile that somehow eased the weight pressing on Anna's chest. "Welcome, Anna," she said, her voice warm and steady. "I'm Dr. Elena Morales. I'm so glad you're here." That single sentence, "I'm so glad you're here," landed like a whisper on a wound. No clipboard barrier. No clinical stiffness. Just kindness. Anna didn't know what she had expected, but it hadn't been this, a woman who, despite her own visible challenges, radiated calm strength. There was something disarming about it. Reassuring. She felt, for the first time in that day, seen not as a patient on a list, but as a human being. In that moment, Anna understood something quietly powerful. Strength wasn't always loud or commanding. Sometimes, it sat in a wheelchair and smiled at you like you already belonged. And maybe, just maybe, this wouldn't be as scary as she thought. Anna sat stiffly on the edge of the exam table, her fingers tangled in her lap, knuckles pale. Every question, even the gentle ones, seemed to stick in her throat. Her voice, when it came, was soft and uncertain, barely rising above a whisper. She spoke in fragments, hesitating with every word, afraid of saying the wrong thing or revealing too much. But Dr. Morales never rushed her. She didn't glance at the clock or type aggressively into a computer. Instead, she listened. Really listened. "I know this can feel overwhelming," the doctor said gently, folding her hands in her lap. "I want you to know you're in control. We go at your pace." Anna nodded, tears stinging behind her eyes from the sheer relief of being met with patience. Then, almost casually, Dr. Morales said, "I used to be a dancer. Ballet. All my life, that's what I was." She smiled softly, the kind of smile that holds both joy and loss. "After the accident, I thought everything was over. I couldn't move. I couldn't perform. I was angry. Hollow. Anna looked up, surprised. But then, Dr. Morales continued, I realized something. I still had my hands. My voice. My heart. I couldn't dance anymore, but I could help others feel safe in their bodies, even when I couldn't feel mine the same way. There was a long, quiet pause between them. Not awkward. Sacred. Anna felt something shift. It wasn't just a doctor talking. It was a woman who knew what it meant to lose something, and to build something better from the ruins. For the first time, Anna didn't feel small. She felt human. And maybe, just maybe, healing wasn't about being fearless. It was about being seen, even in the trembling. Anna's voice shook as she spoke, her words spilling out in fits and starts. At first, it was just vague discomfort, how she'd avoided checkups for years, how she felt detached from her own body. But then something deeper surfaced. A memory she had buried. A moment from her past she had never said aloud, not even to herself in the mirror. Her fingers trembled as she spoke, and her gaze dropped to the floor. I was hurt, by someone I trusted, she whispered. The air in the room didn't change. No sharp intake of breath, no shocked silence. Just stillness, and Dr. Morales, present, steady, listening with the kind of attention that doesn't try to fix, only hold. I blamed myself, Anna said, her voice barely audible. I thought if I ignored it, I could forget. Dr. Morales placed a hand gently over Anna's. No rush, no clinical response. Just warmth. You are brave, she said softly, not because you're not scared, but because you came anyway. That sentence cracked something wide open. Anna's tears came, hot and unashamed. Not from weakness, but release. She had spent years carrying invisible weight, convinced her silence was strength. But here, in this quiet room, with a doctor who understood brokenness not as failure but as transformation, Anna felt safe. Truly safe. It was more than a medical visit. It was the beginning of something she never thought she'd feel again, trust in herself. In her body. In her voice. She didn't have all the answers. But for the first time, Anna wasn't hiding from her past. She was facing it, and somehow, finding grace in the middle of the scar. Later that night, Anna stood in her small apartment bathroom, the soft glow of the vanity light casting gentle shadows across her face. She brushed her hair slowly, the strokes rhythmic, calming, not rushed like usual. Her mind drifted back to the day's appointment, to the way Dr. Morales had listened, had seen her, not just as a patient, but as a person worth holding space for. She paused, looking into the mirror. For a long time, she had avoided her own reflection, too many days spent feeling invisible, or worse, ashamed. But tonight, something had shifted. She didn't see someone broken or small. She saw someone who had spoken, someone who had shown up, despite the fear. Still quiet, still shy, but no longer hiding. Her phone buzzed on the sink. A calendar notification, follow up with Dr. Morales, 1 month. Anna stared at it for a second, then smiled. Not the polite smile she gave strangers, but a real, soft one that reached her eyes. She wasn't afraid anymore, at least not in the same way. Because today had shown her that healing didn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it began in a quiet room, with a gentle voice, and a doctor who saw your pain without asking you to erase it. She clicked off the bathroom light and stepped into the dim hallway, her reflection fading from the mirror but lingering in her heart. One small act of courage, met with one act of compassion, that was enough to begin again. And for the first time in a long while, Anna felt it, hope. Quiet, steady, and entirely her own. Anna's journey began with trembling hands and a silent war within, a young woman stepping into a sterile waiting room, carrying years of fear, shame, and unanswered questions. What she found, however, was not just a medical appointment, but a quiet, life-altering encounter. In Dr. Elena Morales, a woman whose own body bore the marks of tragedy, Anna found not only a physician, but a mirror of resilience and grace. Through gentle conversation, shared vulnerability, and unwavering compassion, Anna was given something no textbook could offer: safety, dignity, and the power to reclaim her story. In a world that often rushes past silent pain, one person's kindness had stopped to listen. One woman's courage to show up was met with another woman's courage to understand. And from that meeting, healing began, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Anna didn't leave the clinic fixed. She left seen, heard, valued. And that simple act, of being treated with humanity, transformed her. The story of Anna and Dr. Morales is a reminder that bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's a whisper. Sometimes, it's a smile in a mirror. And sometimes, it begins with walking into a room you feared your whole life, and finding love waiting there in the form of empathy. Because in the end, healing isn't just about medicine. It's about connection. And one act of compassion can truly rewrite someone's story.